Okay, today we're looking at Algebra 1. This is test number 1. We only finished through lesson 1.1, but this is our study guide for our test. Number 1 says to identify the fraction that is equivalent to 2 over 7. And you have 4 different problems that you can choose from. You look at the very first one, the top number says 8. So if you got to multiply that top number by 4 to get 8, then the bottom number, when you multiply it by 4, you should get 28. 7 times 4 is 28. A is an apple is the correct answer. If you check the rest of them, 2 times 4 is 8 for B. But if you multiply 7 times the same 4, you don't get 21. You get 28. So that's why that one doesn't work. 2 times 3 to get 6 for this one. But when you multiply 7 times 3, you don't get 28. That's why that one doesn't work. And then 2 times 5 to get 10. But if you multiply 7 times 5, you get 35, not 28. A is the only one that works as far as equivalent fractions go. When you're writing these fractions in simplest form, remember you want to find the greatest common factor for these. But if you don't know what the greatest common factor is, that's okay. Like in this case right here, you might not know that the number 6 goes into these. So let's say you know they both even numbers. So 2 times 9 is 18, and 2 times 15 is 30. Okay, you just got to do it in 2 steps. That's not quite simplified because you can see that the number 3 goes into both of these as well. 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 5 is 15. Here's your simplest version right here, 3 over 5. Number 3 says 5 twelfths plus 8 twelfths. In order to add or subtract, you have to have a common denominator. In this case, they're both 12, so leave it that way. 5 plus 8 is the number 13. Now, this is a simplified fraction because there's no factor that they have in common, 13 and 12. But remember, there's 2 other versions of this answer, 13 over 12. The mixed number version, which would be 1 over 1 and 1/12, and then whatever 1 and 1/12 is written as a decimal. But 13 over 12, when you're working these, even though it's improper, is a perfectly good answer to leave it as. The same thing for number 4. You're subtracting, so you have to have the same denominator. They're both 12, so you leave it as 12. 6 minus 3 is 3. Now, this one, on the other hand, you can't leave this way because there is a number that goes into both 3 and 12 that's common. The number 3 does. 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 4 is 12. 1/4 is your simplified version. Okay. For number 5, you're adding again, but you don't have a common denominator. One of them says 4, one of them says 10. The easiest way for a lot of people to do this is just multiply those 2 numbers by each other and get 40 and use that as the denominator, which is perfectly fine. You just have to do a little more simplifying for that one because there's a smaller number that's a least common multiple, and that smaller number in this case is 20. But if you use 40 again, it'll still come out right as long as you make sure it's simplified at the end. You have to multiply 4 by the number 5 to get 20, so multiply 3 by 5 to get 15. You have to multiply 10 by 2 to get 20, so multiply 5 by 2 to get 10. Now you have a common denominator, which is, since there was an equal sign, 20. 15 plus 10 is going to be 25 over 20. Again, that's not simplified because the number 5 goes into both of those numbers. 5 times 5 is 25, and 5 times 4 is 20. This is an improper fraction, 5 over 4, but it is simplified. Remember, the other versions of that answer would be 1 and 1/4 written as a mixed number, or 1.25 written as a decimal. Number 6, 6 over 10 minus 1 over 3. Again, we're subtracting. We have to have a common denominator. In this case, the common denominator, or the least common multiple, is going to be when you multiply those numbers by each other, 10 and 3, and you get 30. So you have to multiply 10 times 3 to get 30, so multiply 6 times 3 to get 18. You have to multiply 3 times 10 to get 30, so multiply 1 times 10 to get 10. Now we have a common denominator, 30, so let's leave that 30 and let's subtract 18 minus 10 to get 8. Again, this is not a simplified answer. We could have simplified it earlier on to have small numbers, but we left it as is, so let's simplify it now. The number 2 is going to go into both of them. It's going to go into 8 4 times, and it's going to go into 30 15 times, and there is no other factor that they share in common to simplify it farther. Now, with number 7, you have mixed numbers. You can do it 2 different ways. Here's one way to do it. You can say the whole number's 8 minus 4 and get 4, and then take the fractional parts, if you want to just draw a line and see them different, 3/4 minus 1/4. Then it becomes a problem just like the one we had a minute ago. 3/4 minus 1/4, the bottom number is going to stay the same as 4. 3 minus 1 is 2. We can simplify, don't forget that there's a 4 up front. We can simplify 2 over 4 to say 1, the number 2 goes into both of them. 2 times 1 and 2 times 2. So simplify to 4 and 1/2. You may have chose to do this problem by converting both of them right away into improper fractions. If you chose to do it that way, what you did probably is you multiplied the denominator 4 times 8 and got 32 plus 3, and you converted that to 35 over 4, which is fine. Did the same thing on the second one. 4 times 4 to get 16 plus 1, and you got 17 over 4 there. So it became 35 over 4 minus 17 over 4. You have common denominators 4. When you subtract 35 minus 7, you'll get 12 for that one. I'm sorry, you'll get not 12, you'll get 18 over 4 in that case. And then when you simplify 18 over 4, the number 2 goes into both of them. 2 times 9 and 2 times 4. So 9/4 would be your improper version of the same thing we got a second ago, 4 and 1/2. Again, just two different ways to work the same problem. One way may be a little quicker for you. The other may take a little bit longer. We'll look back at number 7. Everybody remind me when we're doing our last minute review before the test tomorrow. For number 8, 3 over 6 times 7 over 10. If you multiply straight across, 3 times 7, you get 21. 6 times 10, you get 60. The number 3 goes into both of these. 3 times 7 and 3 times 20. And this is your simplified version. 7 over 20. Okay, for number 9, it says 5 over 12 divided by 2 over 8. When you're dividing fractions, you need to change it into multiplication and then use the reciprocal or flip the second fraction. So 2 over 8 is going to become 8 over 2. The first fraction stays the same, 5 over 12. So we have 5 over 12 times 8 over 2. You can multiply straight across. 5 times 8 is 40. And 12 times 2 is going to be 24. Then simplify your fraction. If you didn't know what number goes into it, that's the largest number. You know it's even, so you know the number 2 goes into it. It's going to go into this one 20 times, and it's going to go into this one 12 times. You can look at it again and say, well, okay, we can reduce it one more time and say the number 2 goes into it again 4 times, and then, 2 times, I don't know why I keep wanting to say 4, 2 times 10, and 2 times 6. But notice again, we could reduce it one more time. We could have used one that was a little bit bigger for that last one. You can skip these steps if you can go with the largest one right away. 5 times 3, or 5 over 3 will be your simplified version. 5 over 3. 5 over 3. Number 10, we're writing this as a decimal. This says, and that's why I get you guys to reread it sometimes, 2 divided by 4. 2 divided by 4. If you do it this way, 2 divided by 4. This is just old-time division. You know it doesn't go into the number 2, but you can add a decimal with a 0. You know it goes into the number 20 5 times. The decimal's right there, so you actually wind up with 0.5 as your decimal. You could have said 2 over 4 is the same thing as 1/2, and you know that 1/2 is 0.5. You do the same thing. Write as a percent. Means write as per hundred. Easiest way to write as a percent is to just move the decimal over 1 time, 2 times, and it is 63%. 1/5, we're going to write that one as a percent as well for number 12. It's kind of a combination between 10 and 11. You're going to do 1 divided by 5, so you're going to have to add a decimal. You know that the number 5 goes into 10 2 times, so it's going to be 0.2. And then treat it just like number 11. Write it as a percent by moving the decimal over 1 time, 2 times. But this time, We left a hole right there, so we have to actually fill it in, and we're going to make 20% for that. 20%. Number 13 says write 60% as a fraction or mixed number in simplest form. 60% means per 100. That's what cent means, per 100. So 60 per 100. Then we could simplify that and say, well, the number 10 goes into both of them. It goes into 60 6 times, and it goes into 100 10 times. But look at that. We could simplify it one more time. The number 2 goes into both of them, into this one 3 times, and into this one 5 times. In simplest form, 3/5. Number 14, greatest common factor of these numbers. Factors are the numbers that make up those numbers. So for your factors of 24, 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6 are your factors. Those are your factors of 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. We're looking for the one that's the greatest common factor. And for 54, you're going to do the same thing. 1 times 54, 2 times 27. Okay. 3 is going to go into it. 3, it goes into 5 twice. I'm sorry, 3 goes into 5 one time, and there's 24 left over, so 3 times 18. 4 is going to go into it. Let's see how many times in a second. 4 is going to go into 5. It does not. 5 doesn't go into it either, but 6 goes into it 9 times, and those are all your factors there. So your largest factor that they have in common, just go through the top. When 24 is not in common with the one, it's common means they both have the same. 12 doesn't, 8 doesn't, 6 is the one. 6, they both share 6, so 6 is the greatest common factor. You could do the same thing with with 6, 21, and 36. 6 is the easiest one. It's 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. So notice there's only 4 factors. So it's got to be one of those 4 factors that the other 2 share. So instead of listing them all out, you know that your factors of 21 are 1 and 21 and 3 and 7. So 3 is a possible one. So just check your factors of 36. 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, and 4 and 9. Again, 3, but you don't even have to check all of those. You just know that 6 isn't going to work because 6 doesn't go into the number 21, but 3 does. Again, if you need to list them all out like this, list them all out, but just a shortcut version, 3 is going to be your greatest common factor for number 15. Then the least common multiple. This is usually easier for people. Multiples mean when you count by those numbers: 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and so on and so forth. I stopped there for a reason, because when you do 10, you're going to do 10, then 20, then 30. By counting by those numbers, you'll see the least common one is, in fact, 30. Least common multiples for 4, 9, and 16. Again, count by your numbers: 4, 8, 12, 16. It's going to keep going and going from there. 4, 8, 12, 16. And it's going to go to 20. And it's going to keep going. When you do 9s, it might be a little bit easier, so much with 16s. 9, 18, 27. Notice we didn't get to any of them that matched the ones for 4. 27, then 36. I'm sorry, 36. Then 45, and so on and so forth. Trying to go, and I'll just take that one off the test. That way you guys